What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I want to talk to you guys about some of the changes that are happening in 6.2 with Ashran, and also with how we're going to be getting our PvP gear. And I also want to expand those two things into the big idea of this video, which is mandatory fun. Now, what says mandatory fun more than having to do Ashran? I actually don't know. I also want to say right now, I don't hate Ashran. Like, a lot of people legitimately just fucking hate Ashran. They don't ever want to go in there. And I'm not really entirely sure why. I asked yesterday on Twitter, and a lot of people had like pretty good reasons for that. And I might talk about that a little bit in this video, but I know a lot of people really, really dislike Ashran and they don't do it. Well, so obviously the solution would be, instead of improving Ashran, we're going to require it in order to get all of the best PvP gear, obviously. And so anyway, I'm going to paraphrase what's going to happen in 6.2, and then I'll just read it off the page just to make sure that I didn't forget anything. Now, you guys know now, like right now, if you want to buy like some PvP gear and like some of the like the offset pieces, like the boots, the belt, the bracers, stuff like that. Some of the pieces that you buy just straight from Conquest don't have the secondary stats that you'd want. Like I know for Warriors, Warriors want the offset PvP belt because it has mastery and versatility, which are the two best stats really for PvP Warriors. Whereas the other belt doesn't have those, and so you have to go and get reputation with Ren's Vanguard. And Ren's Vanguard is the Ashran reputation, and so if you're Horde, it's pretty much the Ashran reputation. Anyway, so Blizzard has decided that that was no longer fun, and what's really fun, guys, is that now in 6.2, what you're going to have to do is you're either going to have to complete 5 Ashran events and also kill the last boss in Ashran, or you can win 3 RBGs or something like that. Now, honestly, I don't really think that this is like the worst thing in the world, but here's why I don't like it, honestly. Is it's not like you're getting like a token to buy one of these items. You get a box. You get an RNG box, okay? And so you get an RNG box, and it can contain any number of different items. And so you click on your RNG box for the week, and it can either have the item that you want, or it cannot. There's no real way that you can control your success, that you have any real, I guess, control at all over what you get for your gear. Now, while of course there are other offset pieces you can get, not having the secondary stats that you want is obviously going to put yourself at a disadvantage. And so this is really kind of a, not, as I said, I don't really like to use this word, but it is kind of true. It kind of like forces people to want to do Ashran or the RBGs. The problem with RBGs really is because whenever you get up past probably like 1800 or 1900 or so, a lot of people like do DDoSing because everybody does RBGs through Skype, and the reason for that, well, a lot of reasons for that, but one of the main things that Blizzard could do about that, I've said this before, I will say it again because it's a very important thing, is that they should make a really good voice chat system so people don't have to use a third-party voice chat system, and it's a client-based server-based voice chat system, so people aren't able to get each other's IP. That's really what they need to do to fix RBGs in a lot of ways. But besides that, with Ashran here, so it gets better, guys. It really gets better. On top of that, I'm going to read this off to you guys too. Let me see if I can find it. Fuck. I really hope that I actually can find it pretty quickly without... Okay, here it is. Thank God. Players can no longer queue for Ashran while in a raid and are automatically placed into a raid after entering. Now, you guys might think that, okay, that's kind of cool, but the problem is, what if you're a Horde player on Kel'Thuzad Alliance, not Kel'Thuzad, obviously Kel'Thuzad Alliance, on Kel'Thuzad US? Well, I think that I guess like the disparity is like 96, or honestly, I would say 99.6 Alliance players, and like that point 0.4 is Horde. And basically, I don't really know if that's an exact number or anything like that, but what I do know is there's almost no Horde at all on Kel'Thuzad. And so the probability of a Horde player being able to actually get those 5 Ashran event wins is pretty much 0. And so right now in 6.1, what somebody could do is they could join a group on another server through like the pre-made group finder, and they could just join an Ashran group and maybe win some Ashran events on, let's say, like Mal'Ganis or something like that, something that's like very Horde dominated instead. But now in 6.2, so not only, guys, I just want to make sure everybody understands what's going on here. So not only are you not able to, I guess, like join another server to like correct a problem that Blizzard has basically created for you, that you're not able to, you're basically set up to lose here. And so not only are you pretty much set up to lose if you're on an unbalanced server, which a lot of people are, and then on top of that, you finally like, let's say you spend like hours in Ashran, hours and hours and hours in Ashran, because it's hard to get into RBG groups. It really is, because people they have very high requirements and everything like that. And so it is hard to get in RBG groups, and that can be really frustrating, especially if you're a new player, or also like if you're just trying to get the last pieces of your gear, and it's just kind of ridiculous. And so finally, like let's say you finally go and you do all of the Ashran events, you kill the last boss through some stroke, like through the grace of God, you've done it on an unbalanced server like Kel'Thuzad, and you finally get your box, you click it, and it's the same item you already had. Like, I think that that's pretty fucking ridiculous. And so I'm going to read off to you guys. This is actually what it says, what the blue post says. First, it's important to consider when innocent changes of season, including the weapons. Play arena steadily, you earn a full set of at the maximum item level possible for PvP. And so it's not like you won't be able to get any epic items without doing the Ashran thing. There's just be some ones that you're not able to get. So as I said before, like if you have secondary stat items that you can't buy with PvP gear, or sorry, with a conquest, you're going to be having a really bad time. And so anyway, let's see. So this ensures a player can be competitive at the highest level without having to worry about champion strong boxes. This is the one. Those are the champion strong boxes. At the same time, when a player wants to pursue a very specific set of gear, we want patch 6.2 to have some new avenues to do so. I think they have those avenues also in Las Vegas. They're called slot machines. We're making some items obtainable exclusively, oh boy, from champion strong boxes, and there are 2 ways you can get them. The first way, both of them suck by the way, the first way is you can earn a champion strongbox is by winning 3 rated battlegrounds in a week. Before patch 6.2, you had a chance to win an item for each of your 3 wins, but in patch 6.2, you're guaranteed to get an item after your 3rd win. That's kind of nice. I like to have things be semi-certain. I've really disliked a lot of the RNG, and so I guess that's like 1 step forward and like 9 steps back, okay? And so you get guaranteed to get an item after your 3rd win each week. You can also earn additional champion strongbox and one additional champion strongbox each week by completing the weekly quest Ashran Dominance. And so actually, sorry guys, I didn't read this entirely, and so I want to edit what I had said before. You do, if you want to get the maximum amount of the boxes, you have to do this Ashran. And so it's not like you can just do RBGs instead. You have to do both of them if you want to be as competitive as possible. Now, for a lot of people, that doesn't really matter, but especially if you're trying to gear up, and it's like, as I said, with an unbalanced server, you're set up to fail here. You're never going to get both boxes. And we've heard loud and clear that some players take issue with the fact that champion strongboxes are only available from rated battlegrounds in Ashran. They don't care. Just a spoiler. We feel that the unique nature of the reward itself lends itself well to being obtained via PvP content that is exclusive to an expansion, as Ashran is for Warlords of Draenor. We also like when a reward like this requires, versatility belt. Yeah, it's such an amazing reward. Requires a higher degree of player organization, like rated battlegrounds do. I don't know about you guys, but I've done some rated battlegrounds, and they've been worse than pugs. But honestly, guys, and as always, our goal is to make it possible for players to acquire the gear they need to compete and enjoy PvP, and while bringing some variety to the acquisition process. And I really want to talk about this bringing variety, because this is something that I've actually really disliked in Warlords of Draenor ever since beta. Right now in raiding, there's 4 different elements of RNG, 5 if you count killing the boss, but 4 different elements of RNG. 1, does the boss drop the item that you need? 2, is the item Warforged? 3, does the item has a socket? 4, does it have a tertiary? And so all of these different things are things that the item can possibly roll, and other things are more important or less important depending on the item. An example of this is, so like for weapons, it's more important that they're Warforged than if they have a socket for like melee weapons. And for rings, it's better if they have a socket than if they're Warforged, just because of the item values and, like math, okay? And so anyway, that actually is less, because I know in my head, I'm never going to get a full set of gear that has the tertiary stats I want, like life leech probably, or speed, depending on the fight, and also at the same time that has sockets and also has Warforged. And so I know that I will never have the best gear in the game. No matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. I will never even have a chance. And for me, I think that, like, I know that they had somebody who was working on Diablo at the beginning of Diablo, like come over to the WoW team or something like that. And if you guys know, like, this is a big complaint of mine in Diablo, where you don't really have any control over like what gear you're gonna get. You kill boss, and you're just, as I said, playing the slot machine, and guess what? You usually lose. And it's really, really disappointing to me to see this happening in PvP as well. PvP has always been very linear. Like, you know exactly what you're going for, you can get it, there's a very clear pathway at getting this item. And I think that they've kind of just, I guess, like, made it complicated for the sake of making it complicated. And I also want to talk kind of about Ashran in general. A lot of people really don't like Ashran, and so I understand that. That's fine. But I think that for the amount of people who don't like it, I think that honestly the majority of people dislike Ashran. Now, I have no real, I'm going to say this right now, I have no statistics to prove that. I don't really fucking know. But this is an idea, and also by player feedback, it would be very strange that all of the player feedback is negative, but there's also somehow a a majority of positive people who are okay with it. I don't really think that that would be true anyway. So this is something that obviously is very confusing to me, because whenever you have the entire player base that dislikes this whole acquisition method of PvP gear, or like this also, like, more, everybody really hates this regardless. It's like, as I said, I would be fine if it was just Ashran and you got like a token, you could buy something from a piece of I don't know, from like a vendor. But this is like just RNG on RNG on RNG, and honestly, the randomness and what's the word? Variety. That's the word. Variety is not fun. I don't really have. It's like, and sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Like doing mount runs, yeah, it's kind of it's always a rush. Whenever you kill Lich King, it's like, did Invincible drop? And like, there are a lot of good things about variety, but really, whenever you're spending like all your time, and there's a lot of frustration built up around Ashran, especially, as I said, with like the unbalanced servers and everything. What is really, what is this good variety or bad variety? And it's very disappointing to me personally that they've kind of chosen to make things so random, so RNG, that you're pretty much like never going to have a chance. You don't have any real control over your success in the game or not. It's like players who get the items that have the better secondary stats are just going to they're just going to perform better in PvP. A lot of people like to forget this, but this is a game based on math, and certain numbers are more important than other ones. And versatility numbers are more important than haste numbers for arms warriors in PvP. That's really all there is to it. You can disagree with me or anything else, but with haste, or like with versatility or mastery, it's just going to give you more damage. And so you're basically allowing people to be set up to fail based on RNG, and on top of that, so like I know people like complain that like I say things over and over and over, but I really want to say this for emphasis. So you get an Ashran, okay? And so this is assuming that you're not on an unbalanced server, which, by the way, you have no control over. A new player has no idea that's happening. And so what's the solution? Pay $25. How convenient. Or, that's right, there is no other solution. But I don't know if you can queue for Ashran if you queue into another person's party or something like that. I really don't know about that. But again, that would be very hard to find because of just how many people are in the group finder. It would seem to be very lopsided for the people who are looking and then the people who are offering, if that makes sense. And so on top of that, so you get an Ashran, and that's just a chance that like you're on a server that you even have a possibility of winning on. So then you have to spend probably like an hour in Ashran doing this. And then on top of that, you have to get this box that you have a random chance to get a random item. Or it's really only one random. You have a chance to get a random item. And so you have really like no control over all of these other elements that basically impact your performance in the game. And I think that's fucking ridiculous, honestly. At a certain point, RNG is okay. I was okay with Warforging. I didn't like it. I didn't like that players had no control over like giving an item Warforged properties or something like that. I really didn't like that. And so this is just more of it brought to PvP. It's like they already have like the blue PvP gear, and I'm actually surprised they don't have like Warforged epic PvP gear, and I'm really glad that they don't. But I don't even want to say that. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to give them any ideas. But I mean, this is just really disappointing for me. And so I did want to also touch on, I guess, like the idea of, as I said before in this video, I guess like mandatory fun, because that's really what this comes down to. A lot of people don't really like to do Ashran, and so instead of fixing the problems with Ashran or maybe revamping it or actually just taking it out of the equation altogether and forgetting about it, pretty much what they did with Tol Barad, they've decided to basically incentivize it so much that players feel like they're forced to do it instead. And really, guys, I guess like Blizzard has like this idea that participation means like enjoyment or engagement really, and I don't really think that that's true at all. Regardless of what your opinions on LFR are, I guess it was a little bit confusing, but like if you like LFR or if you dislike LFR as like should it be in the game, should it not be in the game, that doesn't really matter at this point. If people like, I've never really read a person saying, "Wow, I had so much fun doing LFR." And while I'm sure those people exist, there's a very small minority of them. And even the people who are LFR raiders and they only raid LFR, they're not having fun doing LFR. And so if Wizard says that, well, there are a lot of people doing LFR, so that means it's a success, that's actually not true at all, because how many of those people stopped playing the game entirely because LFR was not fun? And so it's very kind of hard to make that distinction. Another example of this is with garrisons and with the mythic boxes. And so a lot of people, like myself included, well, actually I probably would, but a lot of people who aren't like achievement people or they're not like completionists, they would never even do the follower missions. They would never level up the followers. The garrisons really wouldn't have much of a place at all for those people. But in order to get everybody into the garrison and get them doing the follower missions and everything, it's the same with the naval missions. It's not like this is going away. They're doing it again. This is happening again in 6.2. They basically made this incentive, this mythic mission thing. So like, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to not get your box, your mythic box? I mean, that would be really stupid not to do that. Now, I know some people do, but every single player in my guild gets their mythic box every 2 weeks. And I know that naval missions, no matter how boring or redundant or anything like that, we're all going to trudge through it because there's such a really big reward at the end. And on top of that, because you can get 735 gear. So you can get like in-game Archimon gear from the mythic box, even if you're only killing the beginning bosses. And so it becomes actually even more important next patch. And even if you have all the gear, you still want to do the missions so you can possibly get the gold if you killed enough mythic bosses, even though that's going away, or also a possibility at a BOE item that you can sell. And so they've incentivized these things to where you pretty much have to do them, or you really want to do them in order to stay competitive. And while players don't really find them very fun, and I don't really think that the idea of I don't ever want to have to do anything that I don't want to, so I shouldn't have to, basically that you should never have to compromise. The game should just give you whatever you want, however you want it. I don't really think that that makes a lot of sense, but I do think that there's a lot of gray area here, and honestly, this is definitely on the, I guess, like the negative side, and I think this is just ridiculous, and I hope that they change their minds, because it's really, it sets player. I think that the worst part about this, guys, let me see how long I've been going on about this. Oh, shit. I think the worst part about this is that, players on low population servers, whenever I said in the video, you click enter world, it's basically just rename it as fuck, because like there's no way that you're going to be able to get an Ashran victory if you're on a low population, or if you're on an unbalanced server. So I mean, what is the solution to this? Like I don't understand. I mean, like I haven't read about any other balancing changes. Like I'm just going to scroll down right now. Win five events. Defeat 200 players, that just gives conquest, not a big deal. And yeah, I'm not really looking at any other like changes for how they're going to group people for doing Ashran to balance it or anything like that. I don't know if they will or not, but it's definitely not indicated in the patch notes. So that's really disappointing for me to see that they're doing this to PvP, and they're taking this like RBG thing, or not RBG, this mythic rating thing. Sorry, there's a moth. I'm about to zap him with my electric fly swatter here, but I think he got away. Anyway, it's just really ridiculous, and I hope that they revert the decision, or honestly, if anything, just make it RBGs or Ashran, rather than you can get 2 boxes, and so Ashran is like this hidden, semi-requirement to getting the best gear. So anyway, guys, I'd like to hear kind of your opinions. Do you think that there's been too much RNG in Warlords of Draenor? I know I do. But if you disagree with me, let me know. I found that it's actually more demotivating than it is motivating to keep going back and going back. Like now, I don't even really do a lot of the farm bosses unless my guild needs me, because I know the items that I need aren't going to drop in the facility that I want them to, and so what's the point, And I know probably some other people feel that way. So let me know. Have you felt that way? What do you think about this change? Is there anybody I honestly, I think probably some people just be trolling, but I really doubt that there's less than like I don't know more than like 5 or 10% of people who think this is a good change. Maybe and also all of the 5 or 10% of people are probably on a server where their faction dominates Ashran. So anyway, guys, really disappointing that this is happening. I really hope that you change your mind and get rid of this. What's the word? What's the word? Variety. Yeah. How much fun is variety? Not a lot. So anyway, and I also want to say one thing at the end of the video, just like real quick. I made a video a couple of days ago about like kind of criticizing like that all things are not bad and all things are not good. This is a negative part of the expansion. Okay, I really think this is a really bad thing that they're doing. I think it's demotivational. Nobody wants this, and it's a very bad idea. That doesn't mean that I hate everything in the expansion. I hate this, okay? And I honestly hope you guys too do too, because unless everybody pretty much bitches and cries about it, they probably aren't going to change it. So that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.